All right, what is up, dudes, dudettes, and all the beautiful people of the interwebs? Bloody Nugs here, aka the Gothic Gamer, your Res Anime King, but more importantly, the king of the Fight Club. I hope y'all having an amazing evening, morning, afternoon, day, night, whatever time it is for you. I hope y'all having a wonderful one, guys. Y'all know what today is. It is a very, very special day because we are doing a very exclusive live interview with one of my very good friends, the founder and CEO of Gamecom team, coming all the way from Indonesia, all the way in the middle of the night because it may be morning for me, but they are 12 hours ahead. My good friend Nanda. How you doing, Nanda?
I am good. I'm good. How are you, bro?
I'm
How are
doing
you?
good, brother. I'm doing good. I gotta tell you, we were trying to schedule out this the time for our interview. We're just like, what time is it over here? He's just like, I can do it at like 7 at night, and I'm just like, all right, well, let me
Yes.
see what time. I'm just like, oh, that's 7 in the morning over here. We're just like, oh, we're 12 hours apart. So he's just like, don't
Right,
worry.
right.
He's like, don't worry. He's like, I'm used to being up at like midnight. He's like, we can do it later, and I'm just like, all right. So this man
Yeah,
over here, part of that no sleep gang, he's just like, I'll work in the
yeah,
middle of the night if I have to.
yeah. Time is up, like. But because we more like creative people, and like you content creator, etc. We can do like anytime we want. So doing
Exactly.
on net, okay, we can. There's no rule on our time.
Yep. I was like, in our space here, whether it's content creation or in your case, game dev, especially when you're working
Yeah.
for yourself, I was like, you can set your own hours and do it whenever you feel like
Yes.
it.
Yep. Yep.
So it's so
We're not part of big corporate. We just indies. That's why I love it.
right. I was like, a lot more freedom, a lot more flexibility to do what it is
Yes.
that you want to do here.
Yes.
But
Yes.
when I tell y'all guys that this has been something that's been so long in the work. To be fair, me and Nanda talked about doing this almost 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, right around the launch
Right.
of the original
Right.
Troublemaker.
Right.
I was like, we had talked about it, but they got swept up in all their events after they picked up steam, and I'm just like, you know what, we'll come around to it. And after y'all had started talking about the sequel and everything else
Mm.
that came out here, we're just like, you know what, let's make this finally happen. It's been too long.
Right.
So
But fun fact, to be honest, I forgot when we first talking. I really forgot. It's been 2 years, 3 years, I think, before I release the first game. Yes, I really forgot. But yes, just like you said, we already plan or talk or interview that it's 2 years already. So,
so
okay,
that
we do it now.
lets y'all know how long that me and him
Yeah.
have been good friends and all of this. And
Yes.
speaking of that, it's just like, you know, I think people really don't understand, especially being an indie dev, and now that y'all have the support of the Indie.io team, formerly
Yeah,
Freedom
yeah, yeah.
Games, is that
Mhm.
when the first game was coming out, that
Mhm.
originally y'all were gonna crowdfund the game. And I know
Yep.
there's some people who may be aware of that, but a lot of people may not be aware of it now. That was actually how y'all were gonna originally fund the title. And
Mhm.
what's funny is that that's actually how me and Nanda became friends, is because of the fact that when they had released y'all's original announcement trailer for the game before y'all's Indiegogo, because that's how y'all were crowdfunding it. Um,
Yes, yes.
I actually saw a retweet of y'all's announcement for y'all's crowdfunding, and I'm just like, okay, this looks pretty cool. And when I read about the game in y'all's description, y'all are like inspired by Yakuza or Like a Dragon, and then you're like also by God Hand, and I'm just like God Hand. I was like, of all things, y'all took God Hand. I was like, I'm sold. That's all I need. I was like, Yakuza and God Hand was
Yeah.
all that I needed, and I actually went and kickstarted or crowdfunded at the highest tier, which was like y'all's big boss level. I think it was at the time. So I donated like $100 to crowdfund it, and especially because of the fact that it's just like get your picture in the school newspaper. I'm just like,
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. I was like, I'm gonna do that, and then I ended up doing like three more of those because I was helping others in the community. They're like, oh,
Yes.
we can't get it in our country. I'm just like, don't worry, I got y'all. So I bought three more crowd funds to help others be able to get the game before y'all ended up canceling it because y'all ended up
Yeah.
working with Freedom Games. So it's
Yes.
crazy to see that y'all went from a crowdfunded
Mm.
title to getting a
Yes.
backing of a publisher
Publisher.
now.
Mm.
And then not
And now
only
we're
that,
working on the sequel.
yeah. And now a few years later, y'all are working on the sequel, and not just the sequel. Y'all got other
Yes, not
projects.
just yes, live action movie. So this is real big thing for us. I mean, like this is our first big IP. Like from the beginning, I really wanted, just like you say, I love Yakuza too. Yakuza is my dream game. Like
Mm-hmm.
from the beginning in my career, I really wanted to make a game like Yakuza, but I realized I still can make that kind of game. So I just make our first game and then the sequel, the open world game, and then later again until I can make this is Yakuza game that I really want. That's my dream.
Yeah, and you
So
know
yeah,
what? I was like, to see where Troublemaker is kind of growing into. It's
yeah.
almost like it's like more mature than what even
Mhm.
like Bully was. If you think about Bully being that open world kind of
Yeah.
game for Rockstar, but being toned down since
Mhm.
it's focused in school. But you have
Mhm.
that you took that same setting and made it more
Yep.
mature, and then had
Yes.
that over the top Yakuza feel, so it really
Yeah.
shows the inspiration that for y'all.
Mhm.
And like you said, you started with indie, and you said that was always kind of your drive, and you wanted to make your own
Yes.
version of it. But when y'all
Yeah.
actually first started, the first title that y'all actually made was Babel.
Oh yeah.
And to be fair, I was like, Babel has kind of become y'all's little mascot.
Yes, actually, when I in high school, I get like game jam, like you make a game with a lot of friends.
Mm-hmm.
That's when Gamecom team start. I just make game with my friend and we gather up and create. Okay, we Gamecom team. We make a game and Bubble is our first IP, our first game, our first character because I love Crash Bandicoot. So Crash Bandicoot is my first game, my really first game. The video game that I first play is
Mine
Crash
too.
Bandicoot.
Mine too.
You too? Okay,
Yes.
I think that's why we friends.
Mm-hmm.
So after the moment, I started. I just want to make a game and just looking for what game I should make with my friend. So because Crash Bandicoot is my first game, of course I will do the same Crash Bandicoot game. But later, after I graduate from high school and then I build out my career in game industry. Of course, I will make more, like professional in business, etc. And that why I came at a moment like, what game should I make when I have a company? Okay, so fun fact, there's no alternative game for Yakuza. Let's say Call of Duty, Battlefield, FIFA, Pro Evolution Soccer, and then GTA, Saints Row, Yakuza. there's no game for the Yakuza alternative. That's why I make Yakuza game. And why I think about the Yakuza, because Yakuza is my first action game and get head and the film right, of course.
Oh, I'm right there
Yeah,
with you. I was
that's
like,
my
I'm biased on that because it was probably one of my. I think while I had played like Grand Theft
mhm,
Auto while we were kids, because
yeah,
for me and
it's
Nanda,
fun.
our generation, I was like, we didn't care. I was like, they didn't
Yes,
know. I was like,
yep,
I remember my dad, and funny enough is
uh,
that back in the US there was a
mhm.
video rental store that most people know is called Blockbuster, right?
Oh yeah,
I was like, there
yes,
was
yes, yes.
besides renting things, I was like, occasionally they would have sales for some of the games that they had that they may have had more
Uh,
copies and they were trying to get rid of. So I
yep, yep.
actually my dad ended up seeing that it was like on sale for
Uh,
like $10 or something at the time, right? And he's just like, hey, he's like, I know you got a PlayStation 2. He's like, here, I got this game for you. He's like, I saw it, I thought it looked pretty cool. He's like, you might like it. And it was the first Yakuza game, right? So I
right,
ended
right.
up playing it and I got so involved in it and literally I was looking on old internet forums at the
Mhm.
time figuring out how to find all of the side stories because I was trying to
Yes.
fight the
Oh yeah,
secret boss.
yeah.
I was like,
And
so
then there's no world on internet.
I was like, at that time, you had to literally look on forums, and I had to print
Yes, yes.
out. I had to print out like where it's like find all sub stories, and literally had to cross out which ones I did as I was going through because it was so hard to keep track at the time. So
But yeah, but for me that's funny for me is at that time I played the Japanese version of the game, and with I never understand Japanese until now. So I play the Yakuza game just for the gameplay. You know, you punch people. I don't understand the story. I don't understand everything on the Yakuza, but it's just fun. It's just fun. It's just funny on the game. So after I play PlayStation 3, I play Yakuza 3, and then I just realized that this story is really good. That's why I
right,
replay the first Yakuza and the Kiwami 1, Kiwami 2, and
the
then I realized this is this is the best story franchise I ever played. So at that moment, I just play every Yakuza game.
mm-hmm.
But me, little Nanda, just play Yakuza for fun. I don't understand anything about Yakuza.
That was pretty much how it was for me. I was just like, hey,
Yeah.
I get to punch people and slam them with all
Yes.
sorts of stuff,
As
and I was like,
as
so
every action, what is it like? Hit action is really cool. Everything on hit action is really cool on PlayStation 2.
yeah,
There's no game such that. And even GTA, you just shot people, punch people, but there's no like cinematic camera, cinematic finisher, etc. There's no game beside God Hand, I think, at
right.
that moment.
Yeah,
Yeah, God Hand
there
to
was
the back
nothing
eye.
that was over the top at the time
Yes,
that really
yes,
captured that like, hey, this is just ridiculous. Like when you like
yes.
some of the heat actions as they're called, right? Is
Mm,
where it was just so ridiculous, like how you could grab a guy by the leg and then slam him against a light pole,
yep, yep.
or crush, like lift them up and then crush their ass on a pipe because you just like slam it right on their butt and stuff like that. It was just,
Uh,
I was like the creativity with some of
yes,
those over the top like
yeah,
actions were
yeah,
just something special
yes.
that
And
made it stand out.
and for the video game, it's supposed to be fun. You know, like you play for the fun, and that's the Yakuza experience. You have the action moment, you have the sad moment in the gaming history, but you have fun play it. That's why I really love this franchise. You know,
Yeah,
that's why I make Troublemaker.
exactly. And like you said, is that when you really look at it, is like
Yeah.
has such a good story that stands out as a crime
Yes.
drama, right?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
each time they always find a way to really up the story, but it stays consistent. It never feels like
Yes. Yes.
each story is so far out of left field that it doesn't make sense.
Yep.
I was like, even
Yep.
right
Yep.
now, even with their newest one that they announced, right? I was like, with the
There's
Pirate
gonna
Yakuza,
fire up. That's.
I was just
I
like,
mean, yeah, that's stupid, but that's work. I think with Majima,
right?
yeah,
It's
that's
just
stupid
like
thing. Yeah,
you
that's just
think you're
work.
just like they're like really pirates. They're like
uh,
this is so dumb, but you're like it's Majima. I was like,
it's
it's so
Majima. Yeah,
dumb and that it makes sense. And
yeah.
that's
Like Majima is off the character, but that's really the character. The character itself is out of character. So there's no out of character for Majima.
Exactly. It's just like he's so crazy and so wild
Yeah,
that you're like, this feels so out of character. When you really think about it, it's like,
yeah,
no, this is not out of character. I was just like, I can imagine him doing something like this. And I think that's
yes,
the beauty
yes,
of
yes.
what they do, right? Because they
Yeah,
have their moments where it's grounded in reality and the
yes.
surrealism, and then they just have their
Mhm.
moments where it's just like so ridiculous that you can't help but laugh. And I think that's the beauty of
Yeah,
what also makes the series stand out is
yeah,
that
yes.
nothing that they do seems so far out of
Mm.
out of touch, right? They have the
Yep,
right
yep.
amount of humor with the right amount of
Yes,
grounded seriousness that the game just
yes.
feels good no matter which one. Because I mean, look
Yeah.
at the fact that you can literally go 1 minute where you're having, you're protecting someone from, some sort of abuse, right? And
Yeah.
they're having this whole existential crisis, and then the
Mm.
next moment you're fighting a yakuza family that likes to dress up as babies, right? I was like, when I met that, I'm just like, oh my goodness. I was like, no
And then
shame.
minute later you can go karaoke on maybe play some golf, go kart. I think that's
Yeah.
just stupidest thing in video game history, but I love it.
Yeah, and the video games or the mini games is so out
Yeah.
there. I was like, but every time it's
Yes.
always fun. I was like, I can't tell you how
Yes.
many hours I
Yes.
spent because you've mentioned Kiwami. I don't know
Oh,
how many hours I spent doing the pocket circuit racing.
man. Yes, that's the perfect mini game I ever played in video game. Like
Oh,
you can just solve the game separately. You can make this separate game, this pocket racer game, not Yakuza. So I will buy that.
yes,
that's
right.
this that's the perfect mini game.
It really is,
And
and that also showed off in your
uh,
games is that throughout
oh yeah,
Troublemaker you added a lot of mini games that you
yes,
could do
yep.
here, and some of them actually made sense within the school setting that y'all had because you mentioned about a game jam. In the first
Oh yeah,
game, you actually could
yep.
meet one of the students in your computer programming class that the main
Mm-hmm.
characters are a part of,
Yeah,
who's working
yeah.
on a horror game, and that took very
That's
much inspiration
yeah.
from Slenderman and Slender the Eight Pages. So I saw that, and what was funny is that when I was playing that and I was streaming
Uh,
it, I'm just like, there was nothing going on. There was no jump scare or anything, but I'm just like, why does this make me nervous? I was like, why am I getting creeped out while I'm playing the game? And I'm just like, I know that there's nothing going on because, like, I'm just looking around. I'm just like, it's just a school. But I'm just like, but
yeah.
why does it feel creepy?
That's the mysterious thing about this school. Like theory of liminal space. Like there's some space that is just scary to see it alone. Like school is one of them. I believe school is one of them. Like if you alone in the school in the midnight, but there's no such a scary story or anything else. You just scared in there.
It's unnerving, yeah. And
Yeah,
you mentioned liminal
yeah, yeah.
spaces. That's one of those things is that
Hmm.
um you think of some of the most obscure places, like a
Yeah,
mall, a movie
yeah,
theater, a hospital,
yes,
right?
yes.
Very normal places,
Yeah, but scary.
but if you make them completely empty, quiet, maybe
Yes.
even just turn off a few lights, there doesn't have to be
Yep.
anything, but your natural reaction is just like, this
Mm,
isn't right. And you
mm.
naturally get scared because of the fact that you're just like, I don't know how to feel in this situation.
Yeah, yeah.
What's on that?
And yeah, that's really cool. But you mentioned that mini game on Troublemaker, so I just realized that like there's a lot of or limitation on the first Troublemaker because the theme is a high school theme. Like we can make the story, the theme, organization beyond the like more brutal combat. There's can be a blood on the game, so that's what we cut on the game. So that's why the sequel is we have more freedom. I think unlimited freedom to the game because this theme is more adult, and every character on the game is already graduate, and so we can put everything we want on the on the sequel. Like if you saw the trailer, you can tell that this game is more crazier than the first game.
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
for those who haven't
Yeah.
haven't seen any of it, I was like, we're gonna go ahead and pull that up here
Oh,
on the
yeah.
screen for y'all. I was saying that y'all really have it, and when I played it, I was like, what I love about the game,
Berapa banyak kacang yang lu
I was
kirim?
like, yo, it's still very rough around
Bakal
the edges,
terus
even
gua
the first one.
habisin.
Yeah.
I was like, it has a
Semua
certain
kata-kata
level of
itu
jank that I just
berkaitan sama
love. I was
mahasiswa.
like, it's clunky, but it's fun, right? I was like, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, it's still very well done, it's very fun, but there's just a certain level of jank that I
Lu
think.
ngapa sih anjing? Sadar goblok. Aku bukan tidak bisa bersimpati, tapi aku realistis dalam melihat peluang. Apaan kayak gini?
You're dead! And how much of that is, because not only have y'all moved into a bigger area,
This bullshit thing.
Capek.
I was like, you're not just stuck in your
Anjing.
basement.
Lu abis di tangan gua. Cepetan maju sini lu kontol.
Yeah, it's fictional city that get on the Packet Jaya Kertas.
They are basically.
The original game.
Pose, ayo buruan ke panggung. Sabar, lagi ganteng ini posenya.
And that's what I really want to know, like the response of the player, like how can we tell the origin story about the Ninja's character? That I really want to know your response when playing the game, and everyone
Berapa banyak kacang yang lu kirim?
This is new character.
Bakal terus
But
gua
I guarantee
habisin.
you will love this
Semua
new character
kata-kata
because,
itu
like
berkaitan sama
what's their
mahasiswa.
connection with the Packet new game? What's their connection with the original game and etc.
Gua cuma nggak mau lu
I guarantee you will love this new character.
And you know what? I was already.
Lu ngapa sih anjing?
loving the new.
Sadar goblok. Aku bukan tidak bisa bersimpati,
The demo.
Through the demo, right?
tapi aku
Or-
realistis
and
dalam melihat peluang.
that y'all had
Apaan kayak gini?
Oh yeah.
letting you
Yeah.
see the advanced practice and it felt like y'all had the relationship already established for the characters.
Terlalu
Yes, you were
capek.
showing them off. It just
Anjing,
felt like you were just jumping in right
lu abis di tangan gua. Cepetan maju sini lu kontol.
Because yes, that's why I really think when I start writing
Pose, ayo buruan ke panggung.
sequel,
Sabar,
how can we
lagi ganteng
make
ini
people
posenya.
love this new character? That's because I explain the origin, like the first troublemaker, like who is Jordan, who is Sandira, etc. I think I make it work.
Yeah.
Because you say so, you say so. So I think I make it work.
Berapa banyak kacang yang lu kirim?
And it really shows
Bakal
that
terus
that
gua
you
habisin.
go to figure out the right way
Semua
to
kata-kata
do that.
itu
And then, of course,
berkaitan sama
having
mahasiswa.
his style where Jordan playing so much different than Moody. I really love the fact that he also made each character have their own distinct style, which is great because that's
Ngapa
very
sih,
much what they
anjing?
did with Yakuza,
Sadar,
right?
goblok.
Because
Aku
Kiryu
bukan
plays
tidak bisa
much different than
bersimpati.
Majima, so literally,
Tapi
guys,
aku
as I was
realistis
playing through the
dalam
demo, you
melihat
don't
peluang.
realize how many
Apaan kayak
how
gini?
many clips I took and how many screenshots that I texted to Nanda. Be like, listen here, you cheeky. I was like, I know exactly what you did here.
Yeah. And fun fact, you on the demo you just play the two chapters, right? But
Yes.
I can say that this is just a little bit. I think it's just 5% maybe for the whole game. So there's a lot of surprise of the game, like the combat mechanic and the weapons, and then side story. There's side story on the game right now because we kept that feature on the original Troublemaker because there's like limitation on budget and then time and etc. That's why we cut the side story mission on the first Troublemaker. But now on Troublemaker 2, we have this side story and this every side story is will be unique like just like Yakuza and yeah, I guarantee you will be surprised and just laugh at every side story I bring to the game later.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
what I,
and I love that y'all are doing so much for trying to add more content and add more to the
yeah,
game, especially with the side
yeah,
stories because I was enjoying what little bit there was in the first game here, especially
uh,
as you were going through the first game here. Obviously,
mhm,
there was the chapters within, and
yeah,
each one we were meeting one of
yeah,
the other different class groups and the other
mhm,
gangs that you're gonna meet, and
mhm.
how different you made each one was entertaining as all hell.
Thank you,
Especially
thank you.
what was it the
Oh,
automotive tech group that had
yeah,
the leader who was basically taking a shit the whole time. Literally,
yes,
I was like, he's
yes,
just like he challenges you to a fight, and he's just like, hang on, and everyone's just sitting out there waiting at the basketball court, and the
yeah,
group, the
yeah.
gang members are just like, well, do you want to pass some time? He's just like, all right, I'll warm up, and then basically
Mhm.
just beats on everyone, and then he shows up so late, and he's just like, they're like, where were you? He's like, I was taking a shit,
Sure.
just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
all
and
proud about it too.
and you will be surprised that how this original character that not shown on trailer etc. will be appear on the game later. It will be epic, I will say.
I cannot wait.
Especially him, yeah.
I was like, and to be fair, within the demo, we already see that
Mm,
the big villain and the big
oh yeah,
antagonist in
yes,
this game
yes,
obviously has a connection to Booty and the Parachute gang because of the fact
yes,
that
yes.
it seems that there is that a lot of this is coming out of revenge for what happened 2 years before. So everything that
Yeah,
happened,
yeah, I will not spoil like the story part because that one of these theme of the sequel is like this detective side of the real because the Rani right now the Parachu gang Rani job is will be detective local detective on the city. That's why we'll bring this like some mystery to the game, not just funny story, not just sad story, etc. But is also this mystery game.
so
So I
really
will not
adding in that,
spoiler anything.
trying to really add that
Yeah,
investigative aspect, but
yeah,
also kind of showing the growth of everyone because
yeah, yeah.
Ronnie's a part of the special
Yeah,
investigations unit. Basically,
yes.
the Indonesian version of the CIA out there.
Yep.
She's
Yep.
all secret agent.
Yeah, yeah. And Channel working on his cafe right now. Not just part time, but he's already have his own cafe. And Bobby still in college, and Woody right now is professional MMA fighter. So that's all this kind of unique job will bring this sequel story, like more compelling to the player because there's a lot of different with each character. And then there's Beyond Dream then. This new character.
And I really can't
Wow.
wait, really wait,
Uh,
and I love that especially where you're starting with this here after the
hmm?
ending or the kind of like
Oh, yeah.
epilogue of the original, seeing
Oh, yeah.
how everyone really grew. And I
Yeah.
was like, it didn't surprise me that Bobby was still in school and he still hasn't decided on what he wants to do, and I'm just like, that's such a
Yes.
Bobby thing to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Bobby just Bobby. Bobby
Yeah,
just being Bobby.
I was like, everyone loves that silly boy. I was like, he's just like, I can do it. It's just like, no, you can't. Bobby's just like, no,
No.
you're
No.
right, go. He's like, but I'll be here for
Yeah.
emotional support.
Yeah. But I can say that Bobby still being Bobby in this sequel. I can say
And
that.
we wouldn't want it any other way. I was like, we don't need
Uh,
a badass Bobby. We just need Bobby
oh
being
yeah. No.
Bobby.
No. No. No need. Yeah. Uh,
And I love that where y'all really kind of took it and you really see your inspiration on how you wanted to evolve the series and what you're wanting to do here
oh yeah.
going forward. with knowing the fact that what y'all did here with the sequel with two,
Mm.
are y'all planning to want to keep growing it? As do y'all have more potential ideas
Yeah.
for future games that y'all want to do?
Yeah. Like when I first read this Trollmaker game, before I rebranding it Trollmaker, I read the Paracho, right? This original title of the game. I already make the whole story how it all will finish. I I name it 10 years plan of the company. So we have everything until 2030.
Oh,
But it's like like just I said earlier, like the first Troublemaker is our first action game, our first Unreal Engine game. So we make it for our experience, etc. And then we expand it to this open world game on the sequel, Troublemaker 2, and then we hope we can make it more cinematic. We hope we can make this animation more fluid. We hope we can make it more, like groundbreaking graphic, etc. Until this is this alternative Yakuza game.
all right.
Now it's not yet. No,
Not yet, but
but we working on it.
you're
We're
definitely
working on it.
improving. And I was like, and that I
Yeah.
think that's the biggest thing. And the fact that y'all have,
Yes.
I was like, Nanda out here being the Oda of the indie scene. He's just like, I have all the story and all the games planned out for
Yeah.
10
Yeah.
years.
Yep.
Just like,
And yeah. That's our big goal. Like my dream is to make a Yakuza game. That's my goal. But I realized that I still can make that game. So that's why I split every series to these like small thing, like the first action game and then the first open world game, and this later we hope first cinematic game, etc. Until this is our game, our dream game.
and you know
Yeah,
what?
that's my
I think that that's always inspirational because like with
uh,
any dev out there and from all the devs that
uh,
I've talked
yeah,
to in the past, they always say is that, hey, I loved this game, I wanted to make my version. So they start, obviously with every game there's always heavy inspirations.
yeah, yeah.
They make a game that's very similar until it grows into their own thing, that it can be
Oh
like,
yeah,
hey, this, this game is very much like this. I was like, and there's nothing wrong with that, because the fact that you
yep,
eventually grow into your own, but you can be seen with having those actual comparisons. And I think that for
yep,
you as an indie dev, knowing where your inspirations are,
yes,
I think when you are able to grow the game, because you can see
yep,
all
yep,
the Yakuza inspirations here, and when you are actually big enough to where you, and it's like where you feel that it matches that, and people are able to say, hey, this is the Yakuza, the indie scene, I think
yep.
that'll let you know that you really achieved that goal that you and the team set out for.
Yeah. Like one of our strength is, let's talk about this busy side of the game. Like just like I said earlier, that there's still now alternative game for Yakuza, right? I can say that we the only one this alternative game for Yakuza. And then if you see this interview with RGG Studio, that they say this Yakuza franchise will be still in middle age story. Like every story is about this middle aged man, etc. And we Trollmaker will take a part of teenager story. That's like if you want to play this Yakuza game but with middle age story, you can play Yakuza like a dragon. But if you want to play this teenager story, you can play Trollmaker. That's what I plan for this series. We gonna make the series about teenagers, not middle aged men.
And you know what? That absolutely is wonderful, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I know that was something that the recent creative director of the series
Oh yeah.
basically recently said in an interview,
Mhm.
is that he said, yeah,
Yeah.
they're like, we'll continue
Middle
making
aged.
the Like a Dragon games, the Yakuza, as a story of middle-aged men doing middle-aged men things. And I'm just like, you know what? I got respect for that. I was like, one of these days I will be a middle-aged man. But it's just like how people still
Yeah.
like really resonate and love like the Persona series, right? It's
Yes. Yeah.
heavy.
Oh yeah. Persona.
It's heavy topics, but realistic topics that affect, teenagers, and
Yeah.
how a lot of us may have went through things, and
Mm.
it's still a very well done series, while being, kind of fantastic with its
Yeah.
story, and kind of the openness, from like Persona
Mm.
5 or Persona 3, how there's always that
Mm.
supernatural element to it, but it still also has its grounded in reality.
Yeah.
And I love that aspect, because the fact that you have that like teenager story, right? And I think that what
Yeah.
you're doing with Troublemakers also doing the
Yeah.
same thing, and I
Yes.
love that.
Yes. Thank you. Like when we make a game development for our job, not just a hobby, etc. We should think about this kind of thing, like how we sell the game, how we market the game, how we make ourselves in this market, etc. In the industry. So you can just make a game that you love, but you should make a game that will sell, will sell a lot.
Yeah,
That's why I think about this. How can we make our game fit in the market? But our strength is still there's no alternative game for Yakuza.
and,
That's our biggest strength.
and not only that is that you made it all. It's all relatable, especially
Yeah,
with the fact that you're talking about teenagers, right? For us
yeah,
as
yeah.
being adults, I was like, a lot of
Uh,
us may have had these types of experiences. Obviously
mhm.
bullying, fighting. I was like, a lot of people may have gotten
Yeah,
into that and stuff like that.
yeah,
But there's also the
yeah.
fact of what a lot of us had to do.
Mhm,
Especially starting with Troublemaker One.
mhm.
Booty's dad had passed away. His mom
Yeah,
recently got
yeah,
remarried. He was
yeah.
struggling with the fact that it's like, hey, a brand new father figure, a brand new
Mhm.
family having to
Yeah.
move. I was like, some of us may have gone through that. I know I personally
Yes,
went
yes. Me
through
too.
that kind of
Me too.
situation here. And then not only that, it's just like seeing how being in a new school, you start bonding and making these new friends, and now you see the whole Parachute gang and how they're very close and everything. And then especially at one point, you see that they were given a gift by everyone's favorite sneaky salesman. Gotta love Richard. I was like, I love
And,
Richard.
and you will be love more him on the sequel because he's have a more big part of this story. He's not just seller or like in the original game. He will take a more big part on the story later. So you will love it more.
But what's funny is that
I
even
think.
though he was a side character, everyone I was like,
Yeah,
y'all did
yeah.
not waste
That,
any chance to
you
put
know,
him in any of the cutscenes, and I love that
yeah,
because everyone's just like, oh, let's go ask Richard. Richard's got something. He knows everything. And I'm just like, I was like, fucking Richard. He's always got something going on. But
yeah,
there's
yeah,
one
yeah.
specific scene where he's just like, I don't give anyone discounts, but he leaves a gift for the Parachute gang, and it was
Mm,
a little bit of that tipsy juice here. And listen, I was like, we've all been there. I was like, I know I was one of those people that had friends or someone who was able to get liquor and
yeah,
stuff like that. And when you're a teenager, just bonding with your friends, like I think everyone's had an experience like that. So kind of
yeah,
seeing
yeah,
them sit around and share this drink and then kind
yeah,
of really like go into their stories or their feelings. I was just like, you know what? I had an experience like that, and I'm just like, it's so well done in the moment that
yeah,
it doesn't feel like, oh, they're just putting this in here just because it's like, hey, bad kids. No, it's just like, no,
I know.
a lot of teenagers have had an experience where they'll do underage drinking, right? But they'll do it with their friends, and sometimes that's where you
Yeah,
get those deep moments where everyone kind of
yeah,
talks about things that they wouldn't normally talk about. And
yeah,
especially for
yeah,
Booty, who was very much a closed off person, he kind of let out a lot of what needed to be said. And then you even get that like
yeah.
really deep monologue from Bobby about how
Mm,
he's just like
mm,
so happy to be there because he never felt like he
yep,
would have a group of friends. And then of
yeah.
course y'all kept teasing the romance between Ronnie
And Randy and oh man,
Daniel.
I can't wait to make our player experience this kind of relationship they have been in this sequel. So I just love it. I just love it.
Yeah, and the beauty about
Mm,
about what
mm,
Troublemaker is doing and what
yeah.
y'all have done is that I'm loving the indie scene, especially because of the fact of y'all are really incorporating a lot of your culture into
Mm,
the games. And
yes.
for
Yes.
someone who isn't obviously able to travel
Mm,
internationally
mm,
much, because one, it's expensive. But the
yeah.
fact is that y'all are able to really invite people to get just a touch and feel of what it is to be there. Because like you mentioned, that the city is based around Jakarta, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
for someone who ended up looking into Jakarta and kind of wanting to learn more about your culture and the city and everything else, it's such a nice introduction, especially with just small things. Like I didn't realize that Migo Ring is actually like hugely popular, like globally.
Yes.
I ended up finding,
Globally.
I ended up finding a store here that actually has Migo Ring, And I actually
Nigori-
tried, and
Indomie.
yeah,
Indomie.
I was like, I tried the Indomie, and I was like, specifically the spicy Indomie. I was like, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh shit, now I see why Bobby be like, this is busted, and I'm just like, you know what, I love it. I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
it brought little bits of the culture for me to be able to when I find out, I'm just like, I can actually try this now. Like the Happy Pink Soda. I was like, there's a shop
Yeah.
out here that is
Oh.
a Korean based noodle shop. But one of the workers there is from Jakarta and Indonesia, and one of the things that he wanted to add to the menu was the Happy Pink Soda. So I actually texted Nanda
You tried?
about
You
it.
tried it?
Yeah, I tried it because I sent you the picture that we took
Yeah,
of
yeah,
the
yeah.
soda.
Oh,
and,
yeah, yeah.
And I told him, I was just like, hey, look at what I tried out. He's just like, oh, he's like, I know what that is. And now I'm just like, yeah, there's a guy out here who sells it. And he's just like, oh, that's great. So it's really
Yeah,
allowed
yeah.
me to be able to experience part of that Indonesian culture and what y'all have here, even in small tidbits, and really make me want to be able to experience it one
Yeah.
day.
And that's one of our mission that we want to bring. Like there's no open world game setting in Indonesia. That's what I want really make the first open world game that release based on Indonesia City. That's what I make with this troublemaker, and we make it.
Yeah, I was like, y'all wanted to do it, and y'all did it, and
Yeah, yeah.
it really shows
Uh,
the inspirations, and really does a wonderful thing here,
Thank you.
because the fact that like you mentioned with Troublemaker, right, and with your inspiration of Yakuza, right, we
Yeah,
know
yeah.
that with Yakuza, right, it's based around Kamurocho, which is based
Yeah,
on
Kabukicho.
Kabukicho. I was like the red light district out there, and then obviously
Yeah.
Ijincho is there in Yokohama, and then of course
Yeah, yeah.
Sotenbori in Osaka is based on Dotonbori out there. So what the team did with that is to be able to give you an experience on
Yeah.
some of the cities in their country
Yeah.
too, because now when you see people who've played a lot of the Yakuza games, when they're in Tokyo, they always try to make a
Just
stop
go
by
around.
yeah, they go to
Yes.
Kabukicho, they're like, look at what I found, and you always see that iconic entrance right there, that giant red
Yes.
torii gate that's lit up
Yeah.
in neon lights, and I'm just like, one day. So it's wonderful that you really also share that inspiration. It's just like, hey, we want to share what our city is like,
Yes.
or give a
Yes.
feel of what it would be in the city here in our country. And you're right that there is no Indonesian team that is doing
Yes.
a game where you really experience the city like that. And I love that
Yes.
because what y'all do on the indie scene, it really, like I mentioned, brings out the culture and lets people experience. And that can go from any game, like what you're doing here. You're
Yes.
wanting to share the action and the
Yes.
city feel, but you have other games from other devs
Yes.
that do other aspects. Like look at
Yes.
like horror fans out there. Like there's so many horror games out there
Yep.
that are
Yep.
based on folk tales or stories from that culture, whether that's Malaysian or
Yeah.
and I know there's a few Indonesian, there's some that are Taiwanese, there's some
Yes.
from Thailand. There's so many unique experiences out there that really help to let people see that culture.
Yeah.
That I love to see what's being done and how people are approaching each one differently.
Yes. Yeah. That's why I love this industry, man. Like we can, especially in the indie side, we can do like everything we want. Like there's no limitation on what we can make because we have freedom to make it. Like I can make this. Maybe later I will make some visual novel game or maybe shooter game based on Indonesia. I can make it if I want. Something like that. That's why I love this kind of industry. There's no limitation on what we can make.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
always the beauty, is that not being able to have that that freedom to do what you want.
Yeah, on big corporate. Yeah. That's what really different with indies and big corporate, because in big corporation like let's say Ubisoft or maybe Sega, that you can just make what you want, but you have to like follow this big head on the company, etc. What the investor want to make, what the like the venture capital want to make, etc. You have to follow them. You can just I want to make this and then I make this. You can just do that on big corporation. That's why I still indie.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that's
Uh,
what stands out is that especially when you have a publisher that is
oh yeah.
so supportive and
Yes.
willing
Yes.
to allow y'all to have that freedom, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And
That's why
and
Freedom Games.
yeah, I was like, and I love the team over at Freedom Games now, NDIO. They're
Yeah. Yes.
wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful crew.
Yes.
I was like, shout out to my girl out there, Des. Well, she's no longer
Yes.
with the
Yes.
team. She
Yeah.
left, but
Yeah. Last week.
I was like, she
Yeah,
introduced me
she's
to
wonderful.
many of the team over there. They're all absolutely wonderful. I was like, they're all
Yes.
very
Yes.
good friends of the channel, and of course over with our LV1 team. I was like, they're very, very good friends, and of course because of Dez, I was like, she made sure that before everything that I had everything for the original launch, and I ended up buying like, because you sent me a key, she sent me a key, and then I ended up buying 3 more and basically just gave away a bunch of copies of the game because I'm just like, everyone needs to go out and play it. Go play it now. And then of course I was like, when y'all finally, I think it was last year, y'all had been working with Junch, who's also a good friend,
Yes.
and able to get the game on consoles and brought it over to Xbox. I was just like, as soon as I found out, I was like, I even texted Nanda, I was like, I bought it again. So he was just like, really? I'm just like, bro, I was like, I told you I'm gonna support.
Yeah. That's why I really love them. Love them because they really support us with all of this thing that we make. Like I want to I want to make this story to be this and to be that, and then I want to make this feature and that feature, and in the end just okay, cool, let's make it. There's no such a no, you can make it. No, you don't have to do this, etc. There's no limitation on India. That's why I love them too. They really support us.
And that's always a great thing is to have a team that's so supportive, and everything here, and to be able to do all that. And for anyone who hasn't played the game, go and play the first one. Absolutely do, and also pay attention as you're walking around the school because these cheeky little sons of bitches have put all sorts of Easter eggs all over, and I don't know how many times I found them because
you know, I also forget how many Easter egg I put on the game. I forgot.
What's funny?
It's too many.
What's funny is I at one point when you're sneaking around in the school as Ronnie, I was like, you actually go in the like near the principal's office. And I actually saw that y'all had the picture of the whole team when y'all were at one of y'all's first conferences out there in Southeast Asia. And I'm just like, oh, look at these beautiful people right here. And and I'm just like, I could see that y'all were out there. And I'm just like, Nanda, y'all really just be sticking stuff anywhere. And he's like, I forgot we had that in there. So
and because like when I build this school, I build this city, like I think it's cool if I put something in there. I think it's cool if I put something in there too, etc. Until I forget that I put that on that thing. So I don't know how many Easter egg I put on the game.
So when even he goes back and replays everything, he's like, oh, I forgot I had that there.
Like the aha moment for this your own Easter egg.
It's like, that's where you were. It's like, when did I put that there?
Yep.
And now
until you play the sequel because it's big city, there's a lot of Easter egg on the game.
I was like, I'm well aware. I remember the tattoo parlor.
Oh yeah.
I was like, as soon as I saw that, I'm just like, really?
Yeah.
Or
What you can think about this tattoo, dragon tattoo? Of course, Kiryu. Nothing else.
Exactly. I was like, he literally. It has instead of the Dojima no Ryu, which is where it says Dragon of Dojima. He had Jakarta no Dragon, and I'm just like, I was like, the Dragon of Jakarta, huh? So just like, you cheeky little. I was like, he's like laughing. It literally in our chat. I was like, we literally just send memes and just laugh the whole time. So when he
Yeah.
said that, all I got was just like a whole line of just like lol 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 lol. He's just like, wait till you see others. I'm just like, oh, there's more. Is there? And then and then the motorcycle, the motorcycle license plate
Oh yeah.
was great because it's just like, what's your motorcycle license plate number? And it was just like 42069 uwu, and I'm just like, really, really. I was like, the most immature thing. I was like, I love it.
Yeah. That's I really like love every time I develop the game. And from the beginning until now, I still have a love when I develop the game until now. So I just love it when you love the game. I really love to.
And that's the
Oh,
beauty is
wow.
just when you love
Uh,
it so much that you're able to have fun with it. That's
oh
always
yeah.
the best thing because if you're not able to laugh
Yeah.
or have a joke, I was like, then you need to take a break. I was like, you need to relax. But you have
Yeah.
way too much fun with what you do, and I was like, and that's always the best thing is that to be able to have
Yes.
fun
Yes.
with it, and you can see that, especially with like some of the posters that y'all post around, or literally the scene with the cat. I was like,
Oh,
when you did the cat, I was just like, really? I was like, really? This is what we're doing? I was dying when I saw that. Just mummy. It's like what? What did that cat say?
and yep. And not just me that have a fun when developing it, but every my team, every cast of the game, they really love when put their voice to the game. They really have fun when we take a record, etc. So I really grateful for that. Yeah, really, man.
Now, one
Oh.
of the biggest surprises, and I know we mentioned this
Hmm?
earlier, is that
Hmm?
y'all had such great success with the first game that I know that y'all were completely caught off guard. And now, not only did y'all announce a sequel, but at
Uh,
the same time, y'all announced that y'all are working on a live action
oh yeah,
project.
yes.
How did that come about for
So
y'all to be able to get
okay,
something like that?
okay. So like this part of this 10-year plan of the company, like we we will make this IP not just IP for the video game, like we will make it something like franchise, etc. Just like Yakuza have a lot of marks, a lot of toy, etc. We want make it that too. So Indonesia, there's a lot of movie production. Like if you search, do you know Dread Out video game, and then Pamali video game from Indonesia. Every success video game on Indonesia have a live action movie. So I think this is our chance to make this IP not just video game but big IP that everyone on Indonesia will know. Because not all Indonesia is gamer, like they just love the movie but not the video game, etc. So we want to make a movie too. But funny enough that when we still on the planning on the movie production, there's a lot of movie production then coming to us first. We're not coming from for them, but I believe 5 movie production then coming to us that they want to make this Trollmaker movie or series. And okay, let's talk. So until then, yeah, the story goes on until now.
That
That is
that's
still in production.
okay.
Hmm.
So, do y'all have a time frame on when y'all may potentially
Ah,
have something?
okay. So I can I can say that maybe next year we will have something cool, like maybe promotional or etc. for the movie, because next year we will release the sequel, and then if we can make 2025 like something like Troublemaker year, like we have a game in 2025 and then we have a movie adaptation in 2025 too, it will be make in the shop
There you go.
something like that.
So potentially y'all may see a promotion out there next
Yes,
year for
next
the
year.
movie, guys. I
Yes,
was like,
yes.
now I know that y'all did say that the game will be launching next year. Have y'all settled on a date, or is it still just
Uh, is I can't say it yet because we still looking for this competitor or etc. Because we still in this scale, that. And 2025 have a lot of big title, like I think every big title will coming to 2025. So
Especially,
it's
yes, I was like, we've
yeah,
seen
it's
just like
challenge for us.
recently we saw like the Assassin's Creed delay and everything else.
Yeah,
I was like,
2025.
February and March is
Oh
already
yeah,
looking
yep,
absolutely
yep,
like busy
yes,
and
yes,
stacked. Just like October this year is like we got horror
yep,
games every other
yep,
day. So it's just like
yes,
what used to be dry seasons, which would be the perfect time, now everything like all year we're just getting nothing but games, and it's just like it's hard to know what's the right time now.
yeah, yeah. Especially when you in this scale, you can compete with this big budget company, etc. So you have make a right choice to when you release the game. And I can say it yet. I still can say it.
And speaking of next year, I was like, you got the like you mentioned, I was like, you got the Yakuza game coming out in
Yeah,
February now.
February,
Yeah, he's
February,
just like, all right,
February.
so he's like, from February to like April, we're not gonna be in that area.
Yeah, of course, of course. I mean,
And part of that's probably because he's gonna be
we want to
playing it.
compete with our own. Yeah,
I,
of course I will play it.
he's just like, I need that time for myself. He's like, because I'll be obsessed with it
you know,
before he gets back to work.
when I beat the Yakuza Gaiden, like a Dragon Gaiden, I just don't work. I think 2 weeks. 2 weeks I not going to office just to play the game. Like you have to take some inspiration of the game. That's my excuse.
He's just like,
So
it's for research purposes.
yeah, okay. So I believe 2 weeks. I not going to office in 2 weeks. I believe.
He's like, if you need me, send me an email. I'll get back to it when I get home.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, man, I love that series.
That's so great to hear. Honestly, it sounds like y'all have a lot of big things in the works, and honestly, I'm so glad to hear that y'all wanted to grow the series. Like you said,
Yeah,
you had
of
plans
course.
and ideas, and that y'all saw the amount of success that y'all did. That you didn't have to go out and kind of fight for it. That a
Mhm.
lot of those opportunities started coming to you, which just goes to
Yes.
show the success, as well as people really starting to see your vision
Mhm.
and drive for what y'all want to do,
Yeah.
not just as a company, right? But with
Yep.
taking this IP and wanting to expand it across media,
Yes.
because like you mentioned, is like we see a lot of franchises now being able to do that and really want to do that, because like you mentioned recently, the Yakuza series has their live action TV show
Yeah.
coming out,
Yeah.
this year,
Mhm.
which was a big thing for them. But you look at like a series like Pokemon, right? Pokemon
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
transcended all media and has basically become, a global known franchise. I was like,
Yep.
it has
Yep.
movies, it has the anime, it has games, it has toys, it
Everything.
has
Yep.
action figures, it has trading cards. I was
Uh,
like, Dragon Ball Z is the same way. I was like, we see that a lot of these franchises start growing past just one initial medium. So with the fact that you're like, we want to do the same, we have a plan and you have an idea, that
yep.
really goes to show that everything was lining up the right way for y'all to be able to achieve that. And that's the one thing that I'm the most happy about for y'all, is that you're able to see that growth and really start being
Yeah.
able to push towards those goals.
Yeah. Thank you. Really, really happy to hear that because that's what I really planning from the beginning when I start my career. Like if you looking for Indonesia or maybe Southeast Asia developer, that a lot of indie developer make one game and then it's released and moving to another game, and sometimes it's just different genre. That doesn't for me it doesn't really make sense because you already have a project that, let's say, like on the first game you make a horror game, and then the second game you make visual novel game, and then third game you make maybe racing game, etc. So it just doesn't really make any sense for me. That's why I want to make, okay, so Gamecom team is action comedy studio. Like that's my branding on the studio, and everyone on Indonesia is already aware of that our game is action comedy. So you can take a serious serious thing from us because it's comedy. So
Mm-hmm.
that's our excuse.
And you know what? That's absolutely fair, because you do see some studios that are able to consistently change genres,
Hmm.
but
Yeah,
each
lot of
time they do
studios do that.
something different, you feel the DNA of what their games encompass.
Yeah.
But even though it's a different genre, a different type of game, it still feels very much in line with the vision of that
Yeah.
company.
Yep.
And it makes sense. And then you have other studios that will be like, all right, well, we made a shooter this time. Next time they'll go and make like a platformer, right? And it feels so different that it doesn't feel like it's the same team, it's the same company that's making it, and
Yeah, that's
sometimes
the problem.
it loses that charm that you would expect out of it. And knowing the fact that you're like action comedy, we'll make something funny, we'll make something serious, we can do all of that, which is why when you look at like a publisher like Dread XP, right? They are
yeah.
very much focused on, hey, we want to make horror games, but they're like, but just because it's horror focused doesn't mean you can't have different variations of what can
Yeah.
be considered horror. Like my good friend Akabaka, who is
Okay.
the developer for the Sucker for Love series, right? Has horror elements, but guess what? It's a dating visual novel with eldritch beings. It still has that horror element, but you know what? It's comedic. It's a visual novel. But then you have a team that wants to make, you know, a pure horror with like mortuary assistant. You get something like that. But then you have something that's very funny based, like Spookware, right? Where it's just like you're a bunch of skeleton dudes going around having the time of your lives just doing random mini games. So you really get that DNA where it's like, hey, we are gonna make spooky style stuff, but spooky can be in many variations. And you're like, hey, our team is focused on, we want to make action comedy, so that could go many different ways. But right here with what y'all do with Troublemaker, y'all know that what y'all have a lot of successes with making that action beat 'em up style game, and that's where y'all's passion is, and it really shows with how much y'all want to do and how much y'all have done to build it out. And I think that's what is missing from some teams, is that they want to keep experimenting instead of finding the one thing where they really shine, and then you can do different things within that and really kind of perfect it before you want to do something different. But some people are able to do something different every time, and it always works for them.
Because what I see on indie developers, indie developer, or maybe solo developer, that a lot of us can make a good game, but a lot of us also can sell the game. You know, like we can make a game, but we can sell it. There's a lot of not business type of person. We just technical game, maybe artists, etc. So we good at being make a game, but we no good on sell the game. That's the problem with this kind of indie studio, you know, because there's no business guy on this studio. That's my role on the studio. You know, I think about this. We decide how to sell the game, how to make this community, etc. That's my job on this studio.
Yes, and I think you have to be the businessman. You have to be the numbers man. I was like, so you make a good point. Is like, and I think that's the one thing that, especially like you mentioned, solo devs really run into, is that anyone can make a really good game, but not anyone is able to sell. No one. Marketing comes from experience, as well as you got to have a certain level. And sometimes it's a certain affinity. I was like, some people are able to really market well, others not as well. They still can, but it's not. When you have someone who's skilled in being able to talk, able to hype up, able to really sell something or really inspire that interest, that's how you can get the right person that can really help take something that may have been successful in a very small market to being successful in a very large market. And I think that's always the biggest key.
And one game that comes to my mind is Vampire Survivor. It's fucking small game, it's fucking simple game, Vampire Survivor, you know? Like, this roguelike is just, what is this? But it's huge success.
Right? Vampire Survivor is probably one of the biggest Cinderella stories out there.
Yes, I don't understand it.
Because the fact that not only that is that it literally was one of those games that ended up creating another subgenre in its own, because now Vampire Survivor created the whole survivors like genre, right? Where it's like it's a very simple game. It's just like you have your character, you just move around, attacks automatically, but you're
Yeah.
just trying to survive as long as you can here. And we've seen so many, especially on the indie scene, have jumped out
A lot.
because of that genre.
Yes, yes,
And I
yes.
love that. And some of those genres go on to become, you know, AAA genres
Yeah.
and stuff like that, because
Yeah.
everything started out as an indie genre at some point
Yes.
before
Yes.
growing.
Always.
And
Always.
you know, look at the roguelite genre.
Oh, yeah.
That
Yep.
grew because of the indie scene. Now you have,
Yep.
and
Indies,
specifically
right?
because of a
Mhm.
game like Slay the Spire. Slay the Spire is
Mhm.
probably the biggest inspiration for a lot of roguelites, and especially a lot of
Yep.
deck builders out there.
Mhm.
If it wasn't for the success of Slay the Spire, I don't think a lot of deck builders
Yep.
would have the kind of interest that they do
Yep.
nowadays.
Yep.
But because of that success, it created two genres. It created, you know, it really pushed the roguelike genre and then the deck
Mhm.
builder genre. And then you had
Yep.
games like Hades that took the
Hades.
roguelike
Yes.
genre to another
Yep.
level, because now it's like, hey, this is an action isometric roguelite.
Mm.
And now people are like really interested in that
Yep.
genre, because now you're getting roguelikes that are isometric like Hades, or you're getting the 2D side scrollers like Dead Cells. Dead Cells ran for what, almost 10 years, constant updates,
Yep.
and they really pushed the 2D roguelike Metroidvania
Mm.
style forward and stuff like that. So you see that these indie titles are what taking
Yep.
some of these genres to
Yes.
new heights. So when you see Vampire Survivors, a solo dev with a very simple game, blow up to the levels that it is, that everyone's talking about it, everyone wants
Yes.
the game on their platform. It's literally like on every single device. I'm pretty sure you could play it on a toaster at this point.
Yeah.
And then you see every like small indie dev are just like, hey, we're gonna make our own Survivors like game, and some of them get creative with it, and that's the beauty is that you
Yep.
see.
That's why I love. You know, that's why I love with indie game, because we can make you know, like Vampire Survivor like that with maybe 3D, maybe pixel, maybe etc. That's a lot of cool game that inspired with the game. That's why I love it.
There was one Survivors like
Uh,
game that I played a while back. And the dev actually was talking with me while I was streaming it, and I loved it because of the fact that it was a Survivors like game, but it was focused on different classes that you would play. So it's like Vampire Survivors, different characters had.
Yeah.
But you know that the different characters eventually you can get all the same items, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But this
Yeah,
one
yeah.
had very distinct classes, but the way that you attacked, it was momentum based. So there was a character that had like a flail, right? So it's just like you would have to move in like a circle to really swing it to attack and everything else. So it's just like, I thought that was unique, because instead of just being able to just like, all right, well, I'm gonna sit in one spot because I made the most busted build of all time, and I don't have to do anything and just let this run until it decides to wear itself out. Now you actually have a little bit more control because of the fact that it uses your momentum on how to attack, and I really love that because it's a unique, different style than what everyone else was doing before, especially with the fact that you had very specific classes. So,
Yes,
like you mentioned, is that everyone can make the same type of game, but everyone's gonna want to try and make their own unique version, and I think that's what helps to really make those games stand out. It's like we can all make the same genre of game, but everyone's game is gonna be different because we want to make something that stands out amongst it or put our own unique spin on it.
Yeah. That's what really struggle with kind of indie studio and in solo studio, because there's no such guy of the marketing side like BT side, because you can sell the game and make the game at the same time. That's I think that's really suck, I think, from
Yeah.
indie.
Yeah, it's definitely very something special for indie.
Uh,
All right,
yeah.
guys. Well, we're running up on the end here of our time. I was like, Nanda, before we get out of here, is there anything that you want to tease the people for? Any little secret tidbits to look out for? Anything else that you want to share with them?
Okay, so I think I can confirm that maybe if not end of this year, maybe early next year, we will have new demo for Troublemaker 2. A lot of new content, a lot of new improvement of the mechanic, combat mechanic, etc. There's will be coming a new demo. soon.
Alrighty. Well, there you go,
Yeah.
guys. I was like, be looking out for an update to the demo for either
Yep.
at the end of this year or early
Yep.
next year.
Okay. Yep.
Before we leave, I got one question here because you mentioned
Okay.
this before. I was like, you talked about how you loved the original Yakuza and then really dug into the story with the Kiwami. You have a 10-year
Yep.
plan with Troublemaker. If you get a brand new engine and everything gets nice and pretty like way down the line, would you ever do your own Kiwami remakes of the original?
You know, here the thing. You know, like this first game, first Rummaker and the second Rummaker is 2D cutscene, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said earlier that someday we will make our first cinematic game. So we hope we can make this first and the second game cinematic too.
Well, there you go, guys.
I hope so. I
He's
hope so.
he's saying maybe one day we'll get a new cinematic version updates of the games. So I had to ask my diehard Yakuza fan over here. All right, guys. Thank y'all so much for stopping by and hanging out with us. And Nanda, again, thank you for taking the time in the middle of your night to come and sit down and talk with me as well as the community and everything else here, guys. If y'all haven't already, again, make sure y'all go check out Troublemaker, Raise Your Gang. It is available on PlayStation, on Xbox, and on PC. So go and support the team. Go play the game. See why I rave about it so much here. And then, of course, go check out the demo out right now for Troublemaker 2 on Steam. It is available. It is obviously it's free. I was like, go check out and get an early taste of what's to come. And do be looking out for more information. You'll be able to find the team's socials for for all of their stuff, like their Twitter, Instagram, their TikToks, all that stuff, to be able to follow them. And of course, I'll also have Nanda's information down below for y'all to go follow him and show him all the love. So with that being said, thank y'all so much, guys. I will see y'all all here later. We'll be streaming later tonight and later this afternoon here with some stuff. But again, Nanda, thank you so much for coming and talking with us.
Bro.
No, thank you, bro. So yes, maybe one day, guys, y'all will see me and Akumu out there live in Jakarta, hanging out with the team.
I will wait. I will waiting for you to come here. Really.
All right, guys, y'all want to fund that Indonesian trip? Y'all know what to do. All right, guys. Until next time, we'll see y'all then. Peace out and check you later, everyone.
Okay.